AskSteveForFree.com.
It's the Ask Steve for Free program. I'm Steve Garland, and with me is Stephen Fundos, who is not only the managing partner of the United Law Center, but the Steve in Ask Steve for Free. And most recently, I should mention, the host of a new program on 1530 KFBK. That's on Saturday nights at 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m.
So see, you ask us questions, and then we answer them for you. I get to ask. You have to answer. On radio and right here on the video podcast. Now, here's one I've seen over the past year at least a dozen times, but it's worth bringing up. This gentleman asks about how much trouble it is to file a lawsuit against your bank, because it does sound huge. Here you're a little guy, you own a single-family home, and you feel like you're up against a big giant. Can I really go up against a bank, and how?
Well, of course you can, and that's one of the problems that people have is they feel that they're worried that somehow either one, that it's illegal to sue a bank, or that it's too big, and you're right, that they're never going to prevail.
10 guys with suits file in briefcases,
right.
And you'll never win.
The reality is there's plenty of causes of action, which are your rights to sue, that can be filed against the bank in a complaint. And one of them is what's known as Promissory Estoppel, and that's really one that I want to talk about because it comes up in nearly everyone's
You've talked
situation.
about these in the seminars, and people just stand and pay very rapt attention. I was not aware that this is a leverage tool for attorneys.
It is, and it comes up in the situation when you are attempting to get a modification. So if you are attempting to get a modification, or you try to and they denied you, listen up, because this applies to you. Essentially, promissory estoppel is this, in a nutshell. Let's say, and I'll just give a quick example. Let's say that I had asked you, Steve, to mow my lawn for $100, and you go out and you get a lawnmower and you put the gas in and you mow my lawn, and you come back and you say, "Where's my $100?" And I said, "I'm not going to give it to you." You could sue me for oral breach of contract, but you could also sue me in what's called equity, which is a little different than law, but we won't get into that. But you could sue me for what's called promissory estoppel, and that essentially means that but for my promise of paying you $100, you would have never mowed my lawn, because you're not going out mowing people's lawns all the time. The same situation exists with a bank when they somehow either imply or promise that they're going to give you a modification and ultimately don't. You would have not gone through that whole process, possibly not done a bankruptcy, or not done a short sale,
or gone into a program.
Or gone into the program. Sometimes these programs can last up to 2 years. Oftentimes they ask you to pay trial plan payments, but whatever the case, you would have not done that but for the promise of getting a modification. And so if you're in that situation, you have to recognize that this is not only a large area that we focus on in our lawsuits, but it's one that judges really like, because it has to do with equity, and equity is all about fundamental fairness. And so it's certainly a cause of action the banks don't like, because they recognize it potentially means large damages at the end of the suit, because you can sue for emotional distress damages and possibly punitive damages, which we won't get into now, but it just goes to show you that you definitely can sue a bank. There are plenty of causes of action on which to sue on, including promissory estoppel.
So to boil all this down, if you have been waiting for a loan modification that someone has said they were going to give to you, that a bank or a lending institution, and they denied it to you or promised you anything verbally, that could be your legal leverage with the United Law Center to not only engage them in a court of law, but to keep them in their home. And why don't you talk about that?
Well, that aspect has to do with the idea of keeping you in your home. Our first goal with every client is to keep them in their home. Our second goal is to reach your financial goals, whatever they may be, as quickly as we can. We do the first one by filing what's called a preliminary injunction to stop the foreclosure. One of the causes of action that judges like to use to issue that preliminary injunction is promissory estoppel. And so we have gotten a lot of our preliminary injunctions based upon that theory. And we'll keep you in your home while you're in your lawsuit and not having to worry about getting thrown out of your house, or oftentimes not even paying your mortgage, and get to pursue a lawsuit against the bank that could potentially yield you, extensive, serious,
Wow.
big
I hope
time
that
damages.
answers that question for you. If you're saying to yourself on the other side of this video, that's me, then you need to go to the homepage of the United Law Center where you are right now and dial that main number and ask for the free, no obligation consultation, because this is the kind of stuff that you guys do every day.
Every day. And keep in mind, those consultations are without time limitation.
Yep.
So,
Where the first question and the first consultation is always free, that's the United Law Center, and ask Steve for free.